Where do you want to start? This New York Times piece or just the boldness of Trump, the courage of Trump? I mean, I'm not trying to kiss his butt here. He knows he's a savvy guy. He's in danger. I mean, he is. I've never seen anything like this in modern politics, not bowing. This guy is a brawler. He is a street fighter. I really like what I'm seeing.
In a crusade to save the country. He doesn't need the presidency to validate himself. He doesn't need the presidency to be a success. He's already a massive success. He's probably the best known businessman on the planet. He's built a $10 billion plus personal fortune. So he's doing this not for himself, but for his country. He hasn't seen a golf course in months. He has really worked extremely hard to build what I think is a juggernaut. I think I may have said it on this very program. Stepping in front of the Trump movement is going to be like stepping in front of a moving freight train. This is all coming. And as you correctly point out, it's only June, essentially, and the polls are showing him either in a dead heat or slightly behind or slightly ahead of Hillary. That is unthinkable. We've been told for how many months? Trump can't win. Trump's the weakest candidate. Trump will get slaughtered by Hillary. Of course, all of that is false. The only thing predictable about Donald Trump is that he's entirely unpredictable. And that is what has the Clintons flummoxed.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the next 40 minutes or so, Roger Stone, who the New York Times has done a cover story on, we're going to be breaking some of that down, is joining us to talk about campaign 2016. Since Trump has defended himself when they made a bunch of lies about him in the New York Times a few weeks ago and come out against the Clintons for the reports of rape and settling those charges, and since he's come out and now talked about Vince Foster, the Clintons' numbers are collapsing multi-points every week, with Trump now going way into the lead, and that's even with polls that I think are being spun. The power structure is literally soiling itself right now. So I want to talk about that with Mr. Stone and see how much he can get into in all this and briefing you without giving up too much inside strategy. But it's very, very exciting. And it is pure populism. This is the collapse of the establishment media, the collapse of their disinformation, the collapse of their ability to sell hoaxes. This is a very important time in American history, and Donald Trump will be the next president of the United States if they don't assassinate him or something else like that happens, or they don't just openly steal the election. The Democrats are in panic. Clinton says just sit back and relax, I guess like he'd say when he would rape women. That's in the news. I cannot tell you what an incredible time it is to be alive. We've at least found our fighting spirit. The sleeping giant is awakening. Now, I want to talk about strategy, the latest, what's coming with Mr. Stone. Then I'm going to get tough with him because I respect him and he always gives us straight answers. But sometimes, he just says, I'm not going to comment. He either tells us the truth or he doesn't comment. I want to know, because meeting with Kissinger, I get he says he'd meet with Kim Jong-un. I mean, he'd meet with anybody powerful and prominent. As long as he doesn't agree with them, like Haas a few months ago, and then Haas came out and attacked him a week later, the head of the CFR, that's a good sign. I'm seeing nationalism. I'm seeing him go up against political correctness. I'm seeing him expose the crimes of the Clintons. I'm seeing him double down on the Second Amendment. So I'm seeing everything I want when it comes to policies and rhetoric. I've met with globalists. I've met with people before, off record as a journalist, and then as long as what they're doing isn't criminal, I don't break that confidence. That's how you learn things. But VP for me, and I'm going to ask Mr. Stone this, I think it's the litmus test. And I'm really upset about Newt Gingrich cozying up the globalist and all the rest of it. Even if he says nice things about Trump, that guy is hooked in with the globalists big time. I think they try to assassinate Trump, quite frankly, if they put someone in like Gingrich. I mean, I'm serious. We saw what they did with Reagan. He's another George Herbert Walker Bush, in my view. So who are we looking at? Who are some of the people? And does Stone agree with that? He joins us now. I'm going to try to shut up and give him the floor to cover the waterfront. Roger Stone of thestonezone.com. You notice his The Clintons' War on Women by Skyhorse, a bestseller. We sell it at InfoWarsStore.com. You can get it at StoneZone.com or Amazon or bookstores everywhere. Notice this is kind of a blueprint now. We had Larry Nichols on, who released a lot of this 20-something years ago, saying Stone's the man to talk to. The Inquirer's coming out next week. So we're really seeing the response to the Clintons' dastardly statement, trying to imply to the New York Times that Trump had done something wrong. Those women have said they never said any of this. Just like the hoax of the rape case, it's all bull. But you will see more hoaxes. Mr. Stone, am I right?
Alex, first of all, it's great to be back with you. As I've said many times on this program, the views expressed are strictly mine. But I think you're absolutely right that we are at an exciting time in American politics. We are on the cusp of taking our country back. And it has taken someone from outside the realm of politics, from outside the realm of the two-party duopoly, somebody who, in my opinion, is a giant when it comes to communications. I also agree with you that the vice presidential pick is going to be the litmus test as to whether the globalists can co-opt Donald Trump the way, to some extent, they co-opted Ronald Reagan. Kind of reminds me of a story that from the 1980 campaign, when Ronald Reagan had clinched the Republican nomination, and we were headed out to Greenwich, Connecticut for a campaign event. But before we did the event, Reagan had a private, off-the-record sit-down with Henry Kissinger. Now, Kissinger had opposed Reagan's nomination. Kissinger was not a Reagan fan, but more importantly, Reagan was not a fan of détente. Reagan believed that we had to overpower and shut the Soviet Union's war machine down rather than coexist with it. So the men never agreed. They met privately. I was obviously not in the room. It was just Governor Reagan, Dr. Kissinger. When he emerged from the meeting 45 minutes later and he got back in the car, I said, well, Governor, how was your meeting with Dr. Kissinger? He just shook his head and he said, God, the guy smelled like garlic. It was awful. So wow. I think you have a very analogous situation here. I've known Trump 30 years. His ideas, whether it is NATO or whether it is our fiscal situation or if it is our ridiculous trade policy, these are hard-formed personal views that no one is going to change. Not Dr. Kissinger, not the Council on Foreign Relations, not the elites of the Republican Party. So when it comes to the question of the vice presidency, I must tell you, I put my complete and total faith in Donald J. Trump. You're going to hear names on the short list here that, in my opinion, are probably not really under consideration. Names put there for the point of party unity, names put there to create a smokescreen so that Mr. Trump can have some suspense at the convention. But I would predict this. The nominee will be a nationalist, not a globalist. The nominee will be somebody who shares Donald Trump's views on a broad cross-section of issues. Now, he has, as you know, thrown out some names and talked about a short list and a vetting process. But at the end of the day, there's only one man on the planet who knows what Trump is going to do, and that's Trump. This process is not being managed by his campaign manager, Corey Lewandowski. It is not being managed by the very able lawyer that he's brought in to assist in the vetting, A.B. Culverhouse, who I know well from the Reagan administration, a good man, a patriot. But at the end of the day, only one man's going to make this choice, and I put my full faith in Donald Trump.
That's exciting. It's also common sense. If he's a nationalist, peace through strength, a patriot, a constitutionalist, and a free marketer, Trump is going to end up picking somebody that's similar to him or almost exactly like him because he doesn't really like to, to compromise on base values. That makes a lot of sense. And, I've heard from some other little birds and things, the same thing that you talked about with me this morning. Nothing secret you told me or anything, but that there's some folks that are excited that there's a very short list and they're all pretty darn good.
Yeah, I mean, he met with Senator Corker yesterday. I don't know that that has any particular significance. My understanding was that Corker asked for the meeting. He is the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. As you know, he was very warm about Donald Trump's foreign policy speech several weeks ago. There's obviously some pressure from some of the party people to take John Kasich on the argument that he would bring you on Ohio. Just my opinion, I think that is unlikely. Never saw any chemistry between he and Donald Trump. Marco Rubio, in my opinion, is not a finisher in this process. Not the right man either. There is, of course, some discussion of a woman, Governor Suzanne Martinez of New Mexico, also someone I think many people have overlooked, Shelley Moore Capito from West Virginia, a very distinguished U.S. Senator, the daughter of former Governor Arch Moore, a nationalist, a fine woman, be an excellent choice. There's a lot of people I think that are being looked at who may not be in the newspapers, but only one man knows. So I just want to reassure those in your audience who see some of these globalists and have their names tossed around. I'm not afraid. I think at the end of the day, Donald Trump will make the right choice.
All I know is his actions, he's only turning up the heat on the globalists. He's doing exactly what the mainstream media tells him not to. They are acting really scared now.
No, I think they're in high panic mode because the multi-million-dollar negative TV ads didn't work during the primaries. The hatchet job by the New York Times about his behavior with women in the 70s and 80s, in my opinion, just set the standard. Now we have to review Bill Clinton's attitude and treatment of women in the 70s and 80s. And that's an ugly, ugly story. I saw this again with Chris Cuomo and Michael Cohen on CNN. This is not about indiscretion.